this is a special Friday edition for a very special reason. And when I introduce our guest, I'll explain why that is. But I have to tell you to subscribe and share. Make sure on YouTube, of course, that you're subscribing and sharing. Find us on Facebook, Voice in the Kingdom. And then also all the other things the Lord is doing through this ministry. Our Africa Well Project is going very well. We've got a couple of wells that are in progress, one that is already completed in Guinea-Bissau in West Africa. So that is wonderful. We have some tent revivals coming up. We have street ministry going on. So the podcast and the media side is another way to point back to what the Lord is doing. And these kingdom conversations each week is a way to see that it is more than just one voice in the kingdom. It is many that is pointing back to the Father. And so today I am going to bring in this special edition, my guy, TB2. And that is the man right there on our YouTube channel. You can see him, Thurman B. Thornton II. What's going on, brother?
What is going on, man? What is going on, man?
Well, it's kind of a big day for you, and so I'm so glad to be a part of it.
It is. It is. You're glad. I'm more than honored. I'm glad that you're able to be a part of it. It is definitely a big day, and we are grateful and happy, excited, nervous,
Understandable.
and amped. But it's a great day. It's a great day.
Amped up. And so people that are watching on YouTube can see that the latest album is called Lyrics from the Heart.
Yes.
And we're going to get into all of that in just a little bit. But first, I would love for you to kind of talk a little bit about what the Lord has done in your life and whatever the Lord lays on your heart to share about your story for people to kind of get a grip of where this music ministry came from and really what has led to today. So let's start there.
Absolutely. So well, TB2, Thurman B. Thornton II. I am from St. Louis, Missouri. I sangs. You got folks that sing, and then you got folks that sangs. I am grateful to say that I am one of the one that sangs. I sangs.
Yes, sir.
I've been singing. I've been singing professionally now for about 16 years. But the whole, I guess, my journey or story, if you will, as far as music is concerned, like I said, I was come from a musical family, things of that nature, born in a church baby, born on a pew and things of that nature. But intensively, musically, as far as my career and ministry is concerned, it really stems from after losing critical people in my life. So it really kind of builds from the deaths of my mother, my brother, and my father 3 years in a row from 2009 to 2011. And with that, developed a major addiction to cocaine, as well as drinking and things of that nature. And, knew right, wouldn't do right. Singing God was good, wasn't living none of it. Didn't believe any of it. Was very upset with God, walking zombie, if you will, full of depression, anger, suicidal, things of that nature. Took several attempts over the course. I did cocaine for about 5 years, 5 or 6 years. But thanks be unto God, this year I am 8 years clean.
Oh, glory.
From that, got a hole in my nasal cavity, kind of as a consistent reminder, if you will. Definitely wasn't funny then. You look back and reflect on it now, like,
Right.
what was I doing?
Yeah.
But, when you are, when God allows trauma, he allows tragedy or trauma to hit you in a matter. You don't see it then, but he's doing it to push something and birth something out of you.
Yeah.
And so the one outlet that I had that was probably the most freeing for me was music. It gave me, if you will, sort of a peace. It allowed me to express everything that I was feeling. And so about 5 years ago, I released what was my first full-length project, which was called 911 Save Me. And me and my producer, Marion Robinson IV, what up, Marion? We called that our rebellious album. It was the Rebellion album. It was me telling on myself. I didn't allow anybody to have whatever story they wanted to have on me. I told on my own self. The Bible teaches us that they were overcome by the blood of the lamb and the words of their testimony. So it was important for me to come to terms with the fact that the only way that you can really get healing is when you admit that you're hurt.
Yes.
And so from the start track, from 911 to the end with Fresh Start, it was my way of basically showcasing the journey of a man from dark to light. What a lot of people don't know is there are a lot of people that are sitting in the world, not just in church, in the world, because you have to be careful and understand what it is that you're particularly called to. You have your local heroes, you have your international heroes, you have your church heroes, you have your,
Mhm.
club. You have all these different people that have to be
Yeah,
lights in dark places.
that's right.
And I'm grateful that the Lord gave me a gift that was not just limited to the four walls of the church,
Mm,
being as though that he gave me influence. He gave me a gift that allowed me to walk in rooms that to the unknown or untrained eye would say are not for me.
mm.
But the question that I always pose is that how can you go compel the people to come if you don't go where the people are?
Whew.
You know what I'm saying? So just a little tidbit, you know what I'm saying?
I
I ain't
mean,
no
if we wanna start
if
preaching,
we
we
will
can.
start, you know what I'm saying? I ain't nobody's preacher, but Jesus did tell everybody that you go out,
That's right.
go where the people are. So I'm just saying, what good is it that you continue to keep talking
Mm,
to the same folks that's supposed to have it together like you? Above anything else, our job is to be an effective
that's it.
witness.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So um this is my evangelism.
Mhm.
This is my greatest form of witnessing, because music can say and do what a lot of times preaching won't.
Right.
With music can do what verbally you can't always express. But sometimes a song can come on and you be like, ah, that's
That's
it.
that's the moment. Yeah.
That's the one. So my career, my music career, my ministry, if you will, has been filled with truth,
Mhm.
and not being afraid to have conversation,
Right.
and not shying away from what was the dark periods of my life, because it was those periods that brought me to the man that I am today. As an old song, the late Andre Crouch said, through it all, it simply says, if I never had a problem, I
Mm,
wouldn't know that God could solve them. I wouldn't know what prayer could ever do. So
man, that's good.
um I don't my music and me, I don't run from a problem. I embrace it, I attack
You
it,
sing into it. Yeah.
I sing into it. I leave, because if God brings me to it, clearly He intends on bringing me through it. It's just a
Mhm.
part of the process. So my process
Yeah.
has been, as we say, I don't categorize the. If I categorize, it's soul music. But if I had
Yeah.
to really call it what it's life music. It just so happens to
Mm.
be that Jesus and the Lord is my subject matter. It's always going to go back to Him, um,
Yes.
because it was Him that brought me out. It was Him that waited. And what a pleasure and privilege, honor, and pleasure it is to know that God thinks enough of us to wait.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't have to. He did not. He did
No.
not have to. It's nothing. It's not that I'm so wonderful. It's not that I'm so great. But if He has deemed me purposeful,
Mm.
He's deemed me worthy of the weight that comes with the responsibility of this. And so, because of that, it's always gonna go back to Him. So
Yeah.
that's me in a nutshell.
Hey, that's a good nutshell to have, and I'm telling you, man, it comes out in your music. Like you to classify it as soul is not just because of the style of music; it is because of where
Yes,
it comes from.
absolutely.
And I think that that is portrayed very well in everything that you are doing. And so for a moment, let's take a look before we dive into more of the music is some of the other media ministry the Lord has given you to do, the platforms He's put you in front of.
Man.
And again, for people that know this, when the Lord puts something in you, it isn't that He just magically snaps His finger and you're on something. He
Mhm.
puts it in you to work toward and grow in. That's why it's a mustard seed faith, not because of the size of it, but because of it growing. So we're both doing a little preaching today,
I'm
right?
saying, you talking about me. I'm like,
So
feel
talk
free.
so talk about some of these other avenues that the Lord has you working within, bro, because
Ready
there's a
to.
lot of things that you're doing, man.
Man, God is so good. So I've first and foremost, above anything else, shout out to my wife, who is my who is the listen, husbands, listen, okay, happy wife, happy life, and above anything else, is my manager, my partner, in this. It's TV2, but man, listen, James Brown got that one for sure right. This is a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing. Ain't nothing without a woman or a girl. But nevertheless, so me and my wife, shout out to her, and then of course my business partners, Jackie Phillips, aka JPCEO, with Unheard Media, as well as my bros, DJ Radar and DCannon Arts Apparel. So the Lord blessed. Let me tell you something. The pandemic was not all horrible. It was
Mhm.
not. But over the course of 8 years, I'm sorry, 8 years, I've been working with JP, and Radar. for those time. And then D Cannon, that's my brother. We've known each other forever, but we've been working together now for 8 years. It started off with a gospel open mic that was called Testimony Tuesday. And then it grew from an open mic, took it on the road for a tour, and then it grew from that to radio show, from radio show to podcast,
Hmm.
and from podcast to TV, and then from TV, the Lord blessed us last year in August, so we're almost a year old now, to launch our very own channel on Roku called
Yeah.
Unheard TV.
Hmm.
And anybody that knows this, something that my brother the Q was talking about, it ain't just a snap. While it may be a snap to God, it
Right.
is not a snap to us.
Right.
He is time, so there is no late. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? That's us. We be tripping.
Yeah.
So, but
Well, it's like the Holy Ghost. It comes suddenly, baby, but it takes time
you
first.
take God is like this. I've already done that. You're just catching up. You know what I'm saying? So, but no. So, anybody that knows media and entertainment and things of that nature, these are not easy feats to get on. And Roku. Shout out to our reps our Roku rep that specifically works with us and
Hmm.
things of that nature. You're talking about a situation to where they have thousands of people that pitch
Oh, yeah.
shows to them on the regular.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And of those thousands, we were one of the very few that were picked up. And so with we have two particular shows. We have Testimony Tuesday Radio, which is on there, as well as That's My Jam. That's with the Petty Pimps. That's me, DJ Radar, and D Cannon Arts Apparel. And God, let me tell you something. It is for me, it's a full circle thing. Being a young boy, initially I wanted to be a lawyer because I always said that they get paid to lie. You know what I'm saying? Clearly, they get paid the big bucks. But the truth of the matter is, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
Hmm.
Take that, lawyer law 101. But no, being a young boy and watching artists like Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Prince, James Cleveland, the Judds, and people of that, watching them entertain and
Hmm.
perform. That was something. Being on stages of that nature, that always was something that I wanted to do, but not just limited it to singing. Singing brings me to the door. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? But
Yeah.
integrity and what I have outside, other than that, is what's going to keep me in the room. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So it's a blessing to be able to expand in different forms of entertainment. And with that, we still have a podcast that's popping on Spotify and Amazon and Apple Music and all those things. And then we have those TV shows with the channel. And then D Cannon Arts Apparel, that's my brother. He's part of the Petty Pimps, but his apparel line, which where I'm one of the brand ambassadors for his apparel line, because we have our own shoe, and he is the only apparel person that has the exclusive approval or permission of as far as the TV2 brand and stuff. So with
Man.
the album and the One More Day gear and all of
So
that.
so I got to get some one more day sneakers or something.
Gotcha.
I mean,
Oh, you do. Cause see, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Cause listen, I'll make sure you get I'll make sure you get the info. Cause I'm telling you, it has definitely been a blessing. You don't know. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? When the Lord allows you to brainstorm and he said, write the vision, make it plans. I'm
That's
all in the
right.
book. I'm gonna give y'all Bible regardless. I'm
Well,
telling
that's
y'all.
Nehemiah. So tell me, he was building a wall. You're building apparel and TV platforms. What with the apparel though? Those conversations that come out of wearing this apparel,
Man.
you're talking about evangelism again.
I mean, so it is. It is. That's the thing. See, this is here's a lesson for you all. Don't ever allow anyone, just because they may have limited vision doesn't mean you have to.
Mm,
Let me say that again. Just because their vision is limited doesn't mean yours is. It pays to make sure. That's why you have to evaluate your circle. You have to always make sure you're checking to see who's around you,
hmm.
making sure that folks are speaking what's true, what's right, and what's well. Let me say it
Hmm.
again. Make sure they're speaking what's true, what's right, and what's well. Because true does not always feel good, but it's necessary.
Hmm.
What's right, meaning I'm gonna hold you accountable.
Hmm.
And well, meaning we're gonna stay positive regardless. You
Hmm.
need the and something that I've adopted and I've always told people and everyone that's a part of my circle or circles that I'm a part of, I always say this: you need three type of people in your life. You need someone under you. That's
Hmm.
someone who looks up to you, that
Right.
gains
Discipleship.
inspiration from you.
Hmm.
Just like, come on, help me here. And then the second person, you need someone on the same level, keeps you humble, lets you
Hmm.
know that you're not the only one that's in this race that's trying to level it out or whatever. We're trying to get to the same place. And you need someone above you. That's the person that's been where you're trying to go.
Yes. Amen.
You can never take counsel or advice from someone that is not in the direction that you're heading in.
Mm.
So it's always important to me that, like you were saying with the apparel, it is evangelism. You got One More Day t-shirts, we got the out lyrics from our heart, and then D Cannon, he had, listen, a lot of the apparel, not just the TB2 apparel, but because I wear exclusively a lot, I'm a brand ambassador, so anything he put out, I'm like, yeah, run that. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of it is simple conversation.
Yeah.
It's conversation. It's things that we see. You know what I'm saying? We got, a lot of things that are going on in the world, between the pandemic, what was that? Trust God and chill. You know what I'm saying? There's some other ones that's, a little more cutting edge, but when Juneteenth passed, we made sure that we,
Hmm.
we're always making sure it's important to stay as current as possible.
Right.
Relevancy, people have different definitions of what's relevant and what isn't.
Right.
Truth will always be relevant. Always.
Always.
It'll always be relevant. God is yet and still the greatest power. There's no one above him. There's no one beneath him. There's no
Hmm.
one on the same level as him. He's God and God all by himself. And as soon as we all as a people
Hmm.
can come to terms with the fact that no matter what the news is saying,
Hmm.
no matter what the Senate is doing, and they just did something today that's like, all right, they just, it's always something.
Hmm.
God is yet and still the greatest power. I think what happens though is that it's conversations like these that people aren't having.
Right.
It's the honesty, and it is. I think with our crew, with D Cannon, with the clothes, and with the TV and whatnot, JP has our tagline is, especially with Testimony Tuesday, is praise your way.
Hmm.
A lot of times, and I ain't afraid, I don't care. A lot of times, people get so caught up on people's packaging that you'll miss God.
Yeah.
You will miss a move of God being hung up on someone's presentation,
Hmm.
because it's just like this. How can you bothering God? Let's say, here we go. You ain't got, you need some money. You want a house.
Hmm.
You want a car. God blesses you with a job, but you so out of tune that you rebuke it and say that wasn't God.
Mm.
Well, here's the question. You bothering God about a house and a car, and then you're abusing the scripture that says, ask anything in my name and he'll give it to me.
Hmm.
But there's another scripture that says, if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves, pray, seek my face, and turn from your wicked ways. You see them 4 requirements that just had to go through before I could even get to then out here. So a lot of times we miss God because he doesn't deliver what we want the way that we want.
Right.
But he gave you the job so that you can maintain the blessing that you're still in alignment for.
And that
And
comes back to what you were just talking about, where your circle matters. Because if you've
yeah,
got that person below you and on your level and above you, holding you accountable to those things, you're there. And I always use Mark too, because the dude that got put through the hole in the roof to
come
get
on.
healed, he
Hmm.
first got forgiven of his sins, and then he
Cool.
got healed by the faith of his friends.
Friends. And it had nothing to do with him. It
Not
was
one bit.
them. It
Yep.
was who was around him that said, well, we believe.
Hmm.
We know what's right. We know what's true. See, you and thank you. You have to have people around you that's gonna say, "Hey, bro, listen, I'm not going." You know what I'm saying? I ain't going. No, I mean, because you do. You have to have people that are not gonna gas you up. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You can't have yes men around you. You got to have
Mhm.
people around you that's gonna be like this. Hey, bro, that wasn't it tonight. They may not know it, but I know. And then the Bible, as the Bible teaches us, how can 2 men walk together except they be agreed? How can I see what you're doing, know what's right and what's wrong, and still
Mhm.
not hold you accountable? Because then God holds me just as wrong as he does you. You know what I'm saying? So it's important. You may not agree, but you'll appreciate it in the long run, because at the end of the day, you know that you got somebody that's 10 toes down, that's going to tell you the truth regardless.
Mhm.
And they don't care about your position, about your money. They don't care about your platform. Because at the end of the day, when God holds us for judgment, he going to remember, hey, 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 You was all right until you stayed silent in this one area that you
Right.
shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
that's why in my show in the mornings on Victory 91.5, I do a segment and
yeah,
I call it what you're looking at. And then I also here lately been calling who you're scrolling with. Because online it's as important who you're hanging out with there as it is
yeah.
in real life,
Come on.
because there's so much anonymity when it comes to online. But we came here today. We've had some wonderful conversations to get to this point, and
Yes.
we could do this all day, but I want to make sure to give honor to the day that it is on the release day of Lyrics from My Heart, because it is out today. And
Today,
people, listen, it's been all around them top 20 charts of the pre-sales, and now it's
man.
time.
So listen. So you listen. Imagine it's been 5 years since the last album.
Hmm.
I toured extensively for 3 of the years after the album came out, and then I took a break prior to COVID, not knowing COVID was coming.
Hmm.
I took a break because my brain needed to and so I needed to rest and recoup. I am very big on living out a record, but I'm also very big on resting and recouping and enjoying the fruits of the labor. So imagine my excitement to know that, because we live in a time in the industry in the business where if it's out of sight, it's out of mind.
Yeah.
And to see, what was it, the first week that the album went up for pre-sales, we jumped from 188 to 96 in 2 days, and then
Hmm.
after that it went straight to top 20, and it's literally held the top 20 in
Hmm.
pre-sales up until today. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I'm excited, I'm happy, I feel the already, I the to see people's anticipation,
Yes.
to see people message me and let me know and post about it and be so warm and so
Mm.
welcoming. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
talking about people from all over the world, and it is so encouraging, because contrary to popular opinion, uh, COVID's still here,
Yeah.
and so and it's gonna be here for a while, and so be careful, people. Just do right. But to be in a situation to where touring can be, because I'm a touring artist,
It's a
and so
different world to navigate now. Yeah,
it's a
for
different
sure.
it's a different world. So streaming is where it's at. I haven't shied away from it. Here we go again. It pays to stay connected to what's going on.
Mhm.
Just like you said, with the radio and podcasting and things of that nature. You have a lot of people that have been bothering and bugging God about expanding their borders. This is it.
Mm.
This is
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
See, when you're in tune with Him, we're talking about, you may not ever get to go to Brazil.
Right.
You may not ever physically get to go to Brazil or overseas, but you have platforms like this where you can do shows and concerts and things of that nature. The pandemic produced creativity.
It did.
It
Mhm.
produced creativity and opened doors. It wasn't all happy. It wasn't all good. There was a lot of loss, that things that happened, and hurtful things that happened. But I've always been the one to say, but God, where are you?
Mm.
You're somewhere in here. I know you're the author. You're not the author of confusion, but I know nothing's happening without your approval. So
Yeah.
my job is to sit and just, where are you? And
Mhm.
so this album, um, ooh, Q, I'm gonna tell you something. Uh-oh. So this album is 2 years old.
Well, I mean, one more day. I mean, you've methodically said one more day since I met you on social media, and I think you've done that from before then. So, full disclosure, I got to meet TB2 at an event where we were honoring some pastors, and he
Yes,
come out and sang with no music, and I sat there thinking, I need to go talk to this guy,
and he
because
did.
you could feel the anointing on just you just put it together a hymn medley, and it was awesome. I
Bless
was
you.
there to talk about one of the pastors, and I got to meet you. And
Yeah,
so from that point, social media, keeping in contact,
yeah.
one more day, every day you said, thank the Lord for one more day. And so that was in preparation for today.
So one more day, at 100% correct. So it started off. Let me say that. I my last album came in 2017. And so my producer, Marion, Lord, he was already like, let's get to the next one. I'm like, hey, bro, look, I ain't that one. I think that's what's wrong with a lot of artists now,
I
is
need
that
an
y'all,
Elijah nap. That's what I need.
bro,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
for real. We spent 2 years recording that album, and we were getting out everything that we got out. And the reason it got released is that it was bleeding out of our ears. So it
Mhm.
was time to release it to the world. And then I needed to tour, and I needed to live out the album and perform and get all that energy off of me. And so the first song for the new album, which actually wasn't One More Day, it was actually He Has His Hands on Me.
Mm.
Let me tell some truth. So a month before the last album came out, I got arrested. And yeah, y'all finna get some exclusive stuff. I got arrested and for something I mean tired, thought it was done. I'm talking about the what I got arrested for was something from 15 years prior.
Wow. Yeah.
And y'all know how the justice system is. Nevertheless, I was sitting in jail. They had kind of lost me in the system. So I had been in there almost like 2 weeks, like nobody nothing moved or anything. And so the Lord I was in there talking to a cellmate who had been there probably for about a year.
Mm.
And good man. His name was Rick. Just praying man. And I was just humming. And he was like, "Well, sing." And I was like, and so I started singing the songs to which is His Hands on Me. He has his hands on me. He has his hands on me. Even though I can't
Mm.
see, God has his hands on me. And so that was birthed out of that. One More Day came. So the album came out in 2017. He Has His Hands on Me came to me then. I told my wife, I said, I'm gonna really reconsider these songs that God gave me in turbulent situations.
Yeah.
Because what was going on is, and I want artists and people to understand when you make these type of declarations, you better know you got to pay for them.
Yes, sir.
You got to pay for them. And the Lord will volunteer your services like he did Job. And because he knows what he can get out of you,
Hmm.
but he'll volunteer your services to prove that he knows what he knows.
Hmm.
And but you got to pay for these. You know, the album was 911 Save Me, and I had to pay for it.
Hmm.
And so his hands on me came out, and I said, nope. And so then after about 2 years, 2 years, so about 2019, I started posting, I thank the Lord for one more day. I didn't know what I knew what I was saying.
Hmm.
I just didn't know what I was birthing.
There's a good one.
And so 2020, um, me and my wife, we love wrestling. So we went to the Royal, we went to the Royal Rumble in January in Houston, Texas. We flew back home. We flew back to St. Louis. She went home. Me and my producer man, we own a studio in Des Moines, Iowa. And in February of 2020, I was there for a week. We recorded what was the first version of what the album y'all getting at today. And so one more day, it just I have a complex as a writer, as a singer. I have a complex that the songs that I write are too simple to me.
Mm.
To me. But as my producer has told me for all these years, less is more.
That's good.
And a lot of times we overcomplicate things by trying to add too much to a message that's already solid.
Hmm.
One more day, one more day. I thank the Lord for one more day. And
Hmm.
with the last 2 years that we've had, and death has hit everybody's house in some way, shape, or form, in some connection, shape, or form, we really have to be thankful for one more day. And so this album is 2 years old. The album was actually technically One More Day was always coming out when it was coming out.
Hmm.
But the album itself technically was supposed to come out. We were going to do it. Me and the band were going to tour 2020 in preparation for the album. The album was supposed to come out last year. Nope, not happening. I didn't feel comfortable. I wasn't. But God said no, so it was like this. All right.
Yeah.
And we went through like the album that is out today is literally the fourth revision, fourth and final revision
I was gonna
of
say it's done now.
it's done. It's done. When we put the release date out and they went up for pre-order, I was like, "Dude, all right, we're good."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Because
what I want to do real quick
yeah,
is there's a clip that you allowed me to have to put up here for people from
oh
the One More Day experience, and
yes, sir.
we're gonna play this clip just because I want people to understand something. You told us a brief, truncated version of your journey to all of this
Yes,
that came from pain and trauma and everything else that it is. And now
absolutely.
you hear such joy and praise in every aspect of what you put out.
Yes,
And
sir.
so this clip is from the One More Day experience, which is on Roku and all of that good
Is
stuff.
it
Yeah.
is yes, sir.
So we're going to do this clip and then we're going to come back and finish up talking a little bit about today and the specialness of this album. And we're going to talk a little bit about just what this all concludes in, and that there is no conclusion, even though this is a final album. This is another step to something else, I'm very sure of. So we'll
Absolutely.
finish with that in just a moment after this clip from the One More Day experience.
Yes, sir.
One more. You ought to thank him for one more. One more. One more day. Wow. All right. So first of all, you got a couple shout outs to do. The musicians, the clothing one more time,
Yes, sir.
and then we can jump in again to the album here.
Okay, so we got a shout out of my MD, my MD. I love him so much, Mr. Jatan Jay Walker, but we call him Jay. He's my MD. That is the drummer. You got Sir Patrick Johnson, that's on main keys. You got Justice Wilkinson on aux. You got Keith Gerard on bass, and you got my boy J. Trey Copeland on lead guitar. Listen, the One More Day experience, which is out now on Unheard TV, which is on Roku. So make sure y'all go get that. Go stream that, wear it out. Here's the dope part. And my singers, D'Angelo, Crystal, and Teen, and my wife. Me and my wife, this is the greatest joy that I have about this film experience. It's my first concert film experience. Me and my wife produced it together.
Wow.
The greatest joy, everything that comes after that is just icing on the cake. The greatest joy is that me and my wife, Cassandra Lynette Marie Thornton, it is that we produced it together. It wasn't Thurman and she, no, we did this together. Me, her, JP, D Cannon, DJ Radar, we all collectively, played a part in it. But me and my wife flew our singers out to Denver, Colorado. Jay, the MT, got the band together. What people don't know, and I've told this several times, is that everybody met for the first time that day.
Wow.
Other than me and Jay and my singers, everybody met everybody that day. What is so beautiful about about the One More Day experience is that there was no ego, there was no hidden agenda, there was no ulterior motive, but we were very intentional about making sure it was understood that we thank the Lord for one more day. And so what the world gets to see with that, because the One More Day experience, it was literally just supposed to be a live performance video. That was a setup. We filmed it last year. It was supposed to be a live performance video that was a setup for a tour. Then Delta came out with a variant because I guess they didn't want folks on their planes. And then Omarion revitalized his career and came out with his own variant of COVID. And so then and so it just didn't happen. But what came from it, we had what was supposed to be a live performance video. We ended up having over 9 hours of footage.
Wow.
That literally had to get condensed into an hour. And because what's great is that it's being pitched for film festivals and they want it, so it's good. But it was dope to see everybody come together.
Yeah.
Even though, I'm the face and all this stuff, but it was dope to see everybody come together collectively for the same thing. And God got so much glory out of it. And D Cannon had us swagged out, baby. He had us clean. You know what I'm saying? That One More Day gear was clean. And
yes, it is.
It is clean, man. And I'm most proud, again, above anything else, God got the glory, but I'm most proud that years ago by, and I'll be able to say me and my wife, we did that together.
So let me ask you this.
Yes.
With One More Day building up to this album,
Yes.
why Lyrics from My Heart for the title of the album instead of One More Day?
Because great question, and I thank you for asking that, because everybody obviously was like this. So the name of the album is One More Day, and I was like, no. So let me be clear. I had the album title set before anything was recorded. It was important. Me and Marion, and then we brought in Jay and Justice, aka the baby, in. So the four of us collectively produced this album. It was important for me not to repeat 911 Save Me. 911 Save Me is its own entry in this catalog, and it does it's done what it needed to do and still doing. But I'm no longer in the I Want to Die stage.
Right.
I'm no longer in the I Rage Against the Machine stage. I still rage against the machine, but not as hardcore 911 Save Me was my suicide note to God. It went from dark to light.
Hmm.
Fresh start being the end of it, because it's just like life. You have all this darkness, and it what looks like is about to consume you, and then
Right.
a piece of light. See how this light just, see,
Hmm.
a piece of light comes
That
in, and
means
you're like,
darkness has to go.
it
Has
has to
to.
go, because light and dark cannot reside in the same place.
Yeah.
So it was important to me to not make 911 Save Me Part Two. We were done with that. We still going through stuff, but we
Hmm.
were done with that part, because God said, "Sing unto the Lord a new song." So now
Yes.
we wanted to see what. So truthfully, the name of the album initially was going to be "What's Next,"
Mm.
and then when I was like, certain songs started coming in, and the pattern, the method of how the songs were coming, and how God was really um, pushing things out, with Jay and Justice and Marion came
Yeah.
together musically and we started arranging and all that stuff. And then me and Marion dealing with lyrical content, and making sure that we are. This was a vocal album. When we recorded the first version of it, we was like this. Hmm. Then we was like, wait. And then we was like, we really want people to hear lyrical content. We want them to
Mhm.
focus on vocals. And we really wanted them to really hear the vibe. And once I think by the time the track listing started coming together, I was like this. These are the lyrics from my heart. And it was like, because like the first track on the album, which is the intro, is "Where Do We Go From Here?" And I
Mhm.
literally took all the titles of the songs from the first album and put them in a melody, to where it's like, okay, after you did all of this, so what's next? Where do we go
Mhm.
here? And from my heart, lyrics from my heart was, "This is where I am now. Today, this is how you mature and elevate from where you were. This is building from the foundation."
Yeah.
And so, lyrics from my heart. I swear, I promise you, everybody was like this. So name album One More Day. I was like, yeah, no, no. It One More Day it's doing what it needs to do. But I felt like the collection of songs that we have on the album really speak to the heart of a man that is still on this journey of healing, deliverance, and love,
Mhm.
trying to still purge himself from what was, and love himself in what is, and prepare himself for what's coming.
Mhm. And all of that comes down to whose we are, and
That's it.
knowing who we are.
That's
And
it.
and that's where the joy comes from. And some of these track titles, Get Up and Live, Never Alone, Just Breathe, Try Me. I like that one, the altar call.
Yeah.
So, man, I'm excited for people to absorb all the joy and passion that is going to come from this album.
Thank
And
you.
so now the pre-sale is done. You can go get it all the places that you get it. Lyrics from my heart. And we may have to do a part two of this interview, because
We
we
can.
we can do this all day. But man, I want you to leave final impressions today in this time that we have left, just a few minutes.
Yeah.
Leave your final impressions of what you want people to understand or get when they hear this album in its entirety. What do you want people to come away with? Not about TB2,
Yeah.
but about this album, what the Lord has birthed, as you called it earlier, from what the Lord gave you.
Um, wow. If I had to sum this experience, if you will, of this album up, and what I would want people to get, I believe the Try Me Altar Call track is kind of symbolic of that.
Mm,
Um, the track is 12 minutes long. But it is what I've deemed the altar call experience of life.
mm,
The album is a journey of God, love, and music. It is the lyrics from my heart. But outside of that, I think what I feel is most important. I think that the album will spark conversation with God. I'm grateful to be a vessel used to cause that connection. But I
mhm.
think the most important part is making a connection.
Yeah.
It is important to know that, as we said earlier, whose you are and who you are. And I think this project, if I had to say what would be where I could rest, I could hang my hat, and I could say, you know what, that's it right there. Is just try him.
Mm,
Just try him. The Try Me Altar Call track is literally not Thurman or TB2. That's God saying, try me. In the
yeah.
lyrics, it says, "You've walked away refuse to change. It's still the same. Try me again. You know
Mm,
what I'm saying? So I think that the album encourages conversation.
yeah.
I cannot, we cannot save anybody.
Amen.
Let's go. Jesus saves, not us. Our job is to present the opportunity.
Yes.
And I think that this album, while is yet a continuation of my own spiritual and soul cleansing, I believe that it also encourages people from all walks of life, black,
Yeah.
white, red, yellow, gay, straight, whatever. It encourages people to have a conversation, a dialogue with someone that they may have never talked to, someone
Yeah.
that they may not even believe in. You know, if you were somebody that was smoking cigarettes on the regular, and then you hear this album, and instead of smoking 3 packs a day, you smoking one every week, that's a victory. It's a victory. It's not the totality of it, but if my project causes you to start making changes, child, we on the right path.
Hmm.
So I think that it is important to know God is here. He is there. A lot of us, he's just waiting.
Yeah.
He's waiting, and he wants us to give him a try again. That's all.
Right.
You
Amen.
know.
Well, I like that a lot. And that's one of the reasons that I point out every podcast that it's not about my voice in the kingdom, but it's about
Mm,
your voice.
yeah.
You listening, I'm talking to these conversations that I get privileged to have to shine a light on other voices in the kingdom. And
Yes.
you are one of those voices and carrying that very well. And I love that we had the opportunity to meet in a moment that, people weren't even thinking about traveling. We weren't, but we got the opportunity to meet in person and celebrate some folks that have been doing ministry a long time. And
Yes.
and now this conversation and album has come from that, and it's exciting, and I'm very grateful to be part of your one more day today that this album has come out. So thanks
Man,
for coming on.
thank you so much for having me. You'd be surprised what happens. There's no such thing as chance meetings. Everything is always purpose. Y'all, he walked up on me for real bad, and we was at our family's anniversary celebration. He walked up on and stayed next to me. He stayed there.
Yeah,
He was. My wife said that she was like, "Who is it?" I said, "I don't know who this is." And
I
then
was
he
waiting my
talked or
turn.
whatever. He was waiting his turn, and then he did. But I'm telling y'all, when I tell y'all this brother right here, man,
Mm,
sweet soul, sweet soul, and genuine, and in a world where that is not common,
mm,
in a world that has trained people to not be as loving, especially as men. You know what
mhm.
I'm saying? It is such a breath of fresh air. I'm telling y'all, man, he stood right there. He did.
Yeah.
He stayed right next to me, and then we finally chatted it up and all that stuff, and I realized how crazy he is, which worked for me because I'm wild.
We
You
all
know what I'm
got our
saying?
own brand of
We
crazy,
got
man.
our own brand of crazy, but I tell you, I'm this connection I'm forever grateful for. I am so appreciative for you and your family, for welcoming me. You know what I'm saying, with open
Honored.
arms, and
Yeah.
us doing the same. And it ain't the last time. It definitely ain't the last time. I feel a reunion in the
Mm.
physical coming.
It's
I
coming,
feel
brother.
I
It's
feel
coming.
it.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
grateful.
I'm grateful for this opportunity. And for folks that are listening or watching, we encourage you to go out and get the album. It's not a pre sale and wait anymore. Now
No,
you
you can
can
get it.
get
Wear
lyrics
it
from the
out.
heart. And so
Wear it out.
when you type it in, it's TB2 as in the Roman numeral. So you got to put two I's
Help the
after
saints,
TB.
because these jokers don't know they Roman numerals no more. I don't think they teaching it no more,
Even with
man.
the Super Bowl every year, people don't know. I don't
They don't
understand.
know.
So TB2 here on Voice in the Kingdom, and we're appreciative for his time, especially on this busy day. And
Thank
we
you.
want to encourage everybody to subscribe and share Voice in the Kingdom, the podcast, and on the YouTube channel and all of that stuff. And we are grateful for every opportunity to have a kingdom conversation. And thanks for hanging out with us on the special edition on the day that Lyrics from My Heart came out for
Yes, sir.
TB2. And this has been Voice in the Kingdom.
Yes, sir.